Every time you had an intense session, man, you felt extremely sore the day after. Now, legs, they were a whole different beast. The DOMs were like no other. But now you're in this place where the soreness isn't really there. It doesn't hit the same anymore. I literally can't get out of bed, and I spend my entire day in bed. 2 days before, I had done a absolutely brutal leg session. This is one of the first leg sessions I actually took seriously. And we're talking about a year into the gym. I did it with my friend. It was insane. All the sets were almost to failure before I started training to failure. It was brutal, man. And what was worse is the day after the session, there was no soreness. I was like, oh, that's great. You know, I'm not going to struggle. I guess I just don't get sore anymore. The day after is when it hit me like a truck. And I literally couldn't move. I don't know why I was given a day off, but it was like there was a delay. I want to give you one question that will probably make the biggest difference in your life. And that is just, why do you actually want to get sore? Why does it matter? Why do you want this damage? That's an actionable step almost. Ask yourself that, pause the video, think on it, journal on it, maybe even answer in the comments. See, the thing with soreness is as we keep going to the gym, as we get stronger and as we get healthier and as our body starts to recognize what's going on, we just don't get sore anymore. It's not that we're not getting a good stimulus, it's not that we're having a bad workout, it's just our body has put in place protective mechanisms. It understands that we're going to be putting our body through this intense session where we're moving a ton of weight and a ton of tears are being formed in the muscle. And it knows that that's not great. And it gets to a point where these protective mechanisms mean that we don't feel sore. And no, that doesn't mean we can't continue to build the muscle. We can't continue to get stronger. It just means that we're obviously, removing this bad thing. If I had chronic pain, I probably really hate it at first. But then, 3 weeks go by, 3 months go by, 3 years go by, the pain still exists, but it almost doesn't bother me anymore, right? Like, imagine you actually going through that process. It's not that the pain gets little and little and little. It's that we get used to it, and it kind of just becomes this annoying numbness through the day. Numbness may not be the right word. Now, although this is not the same thing as what our muscles are doing, it's not the same as soreness, it does represent that sort of thing. When we get used to a certain stimulus, a certain reaction in our body, there are mechanisms in place to change what's going on and make us not feel sore anymore. And so this obsession over soreness doesn't really make too much sense. I mean, imagine if you never got sore from the gym. The first time you went, this soreness didn't actually exist. You would never be chasing being sore because you would have never experienced soreness. And it's strange how that's something people chase when soreness doesn't actually equal muscle gain. You'd think people would chase muscle gain, or people would chase effective reps, or how hard they're pushing in a session, but no. For a lot of you guys, your focus is how sore you are. When it comes to me, I want to be not sore at all. If I'm doing things the next day, do you think I want to be able to not move my legs? In fact, I took a bit of time off recently because I was sick. And there were a few lazy leg days before taking the time off and after taking the time off. And then I went back to doing squats, went back to doing good mornings, and it hit me again, like a truck. It was one of the worst things I've been through recently, and I couldn't even walk to Sainsbury's. I could not get there. By the way, Sainsbury's is a store here in England. I couldn't get there because it just felt so heavy. I was so weak. And to add insult to injury, because of this soreness, I was going upstairs with my breakfast, this big bowl of noodles, and I slip. And then I end up not really breaking my toe, but really hurting it. Soreness, why would anyone want it, basically? But this whole idea of zero soreness means a bad workout. You need to get this idea out of your head. Push to failure. If you're pushing to failure consistently, and you're actually really grinding, like, I'm not talking about, like, oh, I probably failed. I'm talking, like, trying for 5 seconds to get the weight up. If you're doing stuff like that, I don't care if you're sore. I don't care if you're not sore. All I care is that you gave it your all in that session, and yeah, the numbers are going up. Yeah, you're building more muscle. You're not getting sore, but that's a win. If anything, that is a win. So push to failure. And if you're a little bit confused, watch my video on training. It should be one of these corners And that will help you really understand what you're even supposed to be doing in the gym. Damage in no way is causing hypertrophy. In fact, if you think about this for a second, think about those marathon runners. They run and run and run and run, and they cause more muscle damage than going to the gym and working out. The whole idea of tears, or micro tears as I think it's called, causing growth is completely backwards. When you cause tears, you cause healing, you cause growth, but it's not additional growth. It's just going back to baseline. It is the stimulus you put upon your muscles in those sessions that actually causes the growth, the additional muscle mass on top. And this doesn't happen because of the tears. The tears are there. It's a byproduct. Like, you make an omelette. You make an omelette? You make an omelette, you crack a few eggs. This is obvious. But the goal of making the omelette isn't to crack the eggs. It's just a byproduct, right? That's the same as these tears. If we want to make the best omelette, we probably want to crack as few eggs as possible. Well, I say that, but that's a bit complicated, and I think I butchered my analogy. So let me try again. If we want to make an omelette, that's a hard word to say, I swear. If we want to make an incredible omelette, we want to crack as little as the egg as possible. You see, the more of the egg we crack, the higher probability of getting shell in. The high probability of this egg just, the yolk splitting. We want to minimize the crack. Can you imagine how cool it would be to have like a clean crack completely through the middle? That is what we're aiming for in our sessions. We want to get the most amount of stimulus, the most amount of egg out of the eggshell, but we don't want to actually just completely crush the egg in our hand. Now, this is why I advocate for low to moderate volume. It's something where our muscles don't actually need a ton of sets. People will have this belief that you need to have like 20 sets a week, but in reality, it's closer to 10. You should start pretty low. 5 to 10 sets is what I give all of my muscles, and it does not need a single set above that, I absolutely promise you. There's another thing which we can actually reduce this damage that's incurring though, and that is in our reps. You see, similar to sets, we have 5 to 10 reps. Now, just to simplify some things, quick fact almost, 5 to 30 reps results in identical hypertrophy when it has the same proximity to failure. And what that essentially means is if we do 5 reps to failure and 30 reps to failure, we get the same stimulus. The difference is when we do more reps, we get more damage. So if we try to reduce the damage, if we get as little as possible, it means that we're going to be able to recover from that session better. We're going to have less damage. We're going to have less catabolism, another hard word to say. And that allows us to, if we almost imagine the scales and we have like catabolic bringing our muscle down, anabolic bring our muscle up, we have more time spent in this anabolic phase, which is crucial for anyone looking to grow muscle. So please, do not worry if you're not sore. All it means is that you've reached a place with your seniority in the gym that you don't get sore. And as you may be a little bit new, as I think someone clicking on this sort of video probably is new, I would love if you could check out my Everything You Need to Know guide on nutrition. That will help you put together the perfect diet to grow as much muscle as possible.